Who was Frédéric Bastiat? Most people have never heard of him. That's a shame. He was a French economist and writer from the 1800s, and he wrote one of the most important little books you'll ever read. It's called The Law. It's short, it's simple, but its message is powerful. Bastiat saw something happening in his time that is happening even more today. He saw the government, the very institution meant to protect us, turning into a tool for some people to take from others. He wasn't a fancy academic hiding in an ivory tower. He was a practical man, a farmer and a politician who used common sense to see through the nonsense. Bastiat wrote The Law in 1850, right before he died. He was trying to warn people. He saw politicians making promises they couldn't keep without hurting someone else. They talked about organizing society and creating fraternity. It all sounded so nice, but Bastiat looked closer. He asked a simple question: where does the money for all these grand plans come from? It doesn't just appear out of thin air. It has to be taken from someone. This little book is his warning about what happens when the law, our protector, becomes a weapon. It's a clear, direct argument for liberty and against the overreach of government. What makes Bastiat so special? He wrote with incredible clarity. He didn't use complicated jargon to sound smart. He used simple analogies that anyone can understand. He wanted everyone, not just economists, to see the truth. He called out the politicians and so-called intellectuals of his day who wanted to treat people like clay, to be molded and shaped into their vision of a perfect society. Bastiat said, no, people are not things. They are individuals with their own minds, their own goals, and their own rights. His book is a defense of you, of me, of our right to live our own lives. Today, on April 15th, 2026, his message is more relevant than ever. We're surrounded by laws and regulations. Politicians are constantly dreaming up new programs, new subsidies, new ways to spend our money. They tell us it's for our own good. They promise security, equality, and prosperity. But Bastiat teaches us to be skeptical. He gives us the tools to look at these promises and ask the tough questions. Is this law protecting my rights? Or is it violating them to benefit someone else? The Law is a timeless guide to understanding the difference between freedom and force. It's a book everyone who cares about liberty should read. So, what is the law for? It's a simple question, but most people get it wrong. Bastiat gives a simple answer. Before there were any governments or any written laws, people existed. We are all given life by God or nature, whichever you prefer. And with that, life comes certain natural rights. What are they? First, the right to your own life, your individuality. Second, the right to be free, your liberty. And third, the right to what you produce, your property. Life, liberty, and property. These don't come from government. They come before government. They are the reason we create government in the first place. Think about it. Your life is yours. No one has the right to take it. Your freedom to think, to speak, to work, and to choose is yours. No one has the right to control you, and the things you create through your own labor and your own mind, your property, are yours. No one has the right to steal them. These three rights are all tied together. You can't have one without the others. Without liberty, you are a slave, and your life isn't truly yours. Without the right to property, you can't sustain your life because you can't keep the fruits of your labor. The law's only legitimate purpose is to protect these pre-existing rights. Bastiat puts it this way: the purpose of law is to prevent injustice. That's it. It's a negative concept. The law's job is not to proactively do good things for us. It's not to make us rich, or smart, or moral. Its job is simply to stop others from harming us. It's there to stop the murderer, the thief, the assailant. The law should be a shield that protects our life, our liberty, and our property from attack. When it does this, and only this, it is performing its true and proper function. It is a force for justice. Anything more than this is a perversion of the law. This is a radical idea for many people today. We are taught to look to the law to solve all our problems. We want the law to give us health care, to guarantee our jobs, to provide for our retirement. But Bastiat forces us to ask, where is the line? If the law is meant to protect property, how can it then be used to take property from one person and give it to another? This is a fundamental contradiction. The law cannot be both a protector of property and a violator of property at the same time. Its one and only mission, Bastiat insists, is to be the guardian of our natural rights. If we all have the right to defend our own life, liberty and property, how do we do that effectively? Imagine a world with no organized law. If someone tries to steal from you, you have the right to use force to stop them. You can defend yourself. This is your individual right of self-defense. It comes directly from your right to life and property. You don't need anyone's permission to protect what is rightfully yours. This individual right is the foundation of all legitimate law. It's where everything starts. It's the moral basis for any kind of collective action. Now, relying on every single person to defend themselves all the time is messy, it's inefficient, and it can be dangerous. What if the person trying to harm you is stronger than you? What if a gang tries to take over your farm? So, what do people do? We decide to pool our resources. We agree to organize our individual rights of self-defense into a common force. We create a government and a system of laws. This collective force is supposed to do for everyone what we all have the right to do for ourselves, protect our person and our property. It's like hiring a bodyguard for the whole community. This is the key insight. The collective organized law can only have one legitimate source of power, the individual right of self-defense. The law is just the substitution of a common force for individual forces. Therefore, this common force cannot logically or morally do anything that individuals do not have a right to do. You don't have the right to steal from your neighbor to pay for your kid's education, so you can't give the government the right to do it for you. You don't have the right to force your neighbor to buy your product, so you can't ask the law to do it for you. The law is simply a collection of our individual rights. Because of this, the law's power must be strictly limited. Its purpose is to protect rights, not to violate them. It is a shield, not a sword. When the law stays within these boundaries, it is a great force for good. It brings peace and order. It allows people to work and trade without fear. It creates a society where justice prevails. But Bastiat saw a huge danger. What happens when this powerful common force, this collective bodyguard, gets turned around? What happens when it stops protecting us and starts taking from us instead? That, he says, is the perversion of the law. Here is where Bastiat's argument gets really interesting. He says the law can be perverted. It can be twisted from its true purpose of protecting rights into an instrument of injustice. This happens when the law does the very thing it is supposed to prevent. It happens when the law takes property from one person and gives it to another. When theft is done by an individual, we call it a crime and we use the law to stop it. But what do you call it when the law itself does the stealing? Bastiat had a name for it. He called it legal plunder. Legal plunder is a brilliant term. It's when the law is used to benefit one citizen at the expense of another. It's using the collective force of government to do what would be a crime if an individual did it. If I reach into your wallet and take your money, I'm a thief. But if the government reaches into your wallet through taxes and then gives that money to someone else in the form of a subsidy or a special benefit, what is that? Bastiat says it's still plunder. The only difference is that it has been legalized. The law, which should be your protector, has become your plunderer. This perversion of the law, Bastiat argues, comes from two very human, but very dangerous, desires: stupid greed and false philanthropy. Stupid greed is simple. Some people don't want to work for a living. They find it easier to get the government to pass a law that takes wealth from their neighbors and gives it to them. They want to live and prosper at someone else's expense. Instead of working, they lobby. Instead of producing, they petition. They use the law as their tool to enrich themselves without effort. And they don't care that they are harming others in the process. The other source, false philanthropy, is more subtle and maybe even more dangerous. This comes from people who want to use the law to do good. They see poverty, ignorance, and suffering in the world, and they want to fix it. Their intentions are noble. They want to help the poor, educate the masses, and create equality. But how do they plan to do it? By using the force of the law. They want to take from the rich to give to the poor. They want to force everyone into their grand social plans. But in doing so, they also turn the law into an instrument of plunder. They destroy justice in the name of charity. So, what does this legal plunder look like in the real world? It's not some abstract theory, it's all around us. Bastiat gave examples from his own time, and they are, honestly, shockingly familiar to us today. One of the most common is tariffs. A tariff is a tax on imported goods. The government says it's to protect a domestic industry from foreign competition. but what does it really do? It forces you, the consumer, to pay a higher price for a product. It takes money out of your pocket and funnels it to the owners and workers of the protected industry. It's legal plunder. Another classic example is subsidies. This is when the government takes tax money from everyone and gives it to a specific group. It could be subsidies for farmers, for artists, for green energy companies, or for any other favored group. The government claims it's for the public good, but Bastiat would say, look closer. The law is taking property from people who earned it, the taxpayers, and giving it to people who did not. It is a direct transfer of wealth using the force of the law. If a farmer came to your house with a gun and demanded money, we'd call it robbery. When he gets the government to do it for him, it's called agricultural policy. Bastiat also talked about things like guaranteed jobs, minimum wages, and other protections for labor. These sound good. I mean, who doesn't want a guaranteed job? But think about what it means. To guarantee a job or a certain wage for one person, the law must force someone else, an employer, to pay for it. Or it must tax the public to create an artificial job. This interferes with the natural right to liberty and property. It prevents employers and employees from freely agreeing on terms. It's another way the law organizes plunder instead of protecting freedom. Even progressive taxation, the idea that the rich should pay a higher percentage of their income in taxes, was seen by Bastiat as a form of legal plunder. He argued that the law should protect everyone's property equally. Using the tax code to redistribute wealth is just a sophisticated form of theft. All these examples, tariffs, subsidies, welfare programs, progressive taxes, have something in common. They all involve the government using its legal monopoly on force to take from some people, without their consent, and give to others. It is the law acting as a thief. What happens to a society when legal plunder becomes the norm? It's not pretty. Bastiat predicted it would create a terrible and endless cycle of conflict. Once people realize that the law can be used as a tool to get rich, everyone will want to get in on the game. Instead of focusing on producing goods and services, people will turn their attention to politics. The big question in society will no longer be, how can I create value, but how can I get the law to favor me and my group at the expense of everyone else? This turns politics into a nasty fight. This creates what Bastiat called universal plunder. Every class, every industry, every group tries to grab control of the lawmaking machine. The farmers want tariffs on food. The manufacturers want protection for their goods. Unions want special privileges for their members. Socialists want to plunder everyone for their utopian schemes. Everyone has their hand out, trying to get a piece of the action. The law, which was meant to be a source of peace and security, becomes the battlefield. Elections become a fight over who gets to plunder whom. It's a recipe for social chaos. This system also destroys the very idea of justice. It erodes people's moral compass. When the law itself is engaged in plunder, the line between right and wrong becomes blurry. People start to lose respect for private property, because they see the government taking it all the time. They think, if the government can take from others to benefit me, why can't I just take what I want? This leads to a breakdown of morality. The law should set an example by being just. When the law is unjust, it teaches people that injustice is acceptable, as long as it's legal. The ultimate result of this cycle is that everyone loses. Even the people who think they are benefiting from legal plunder are harmed in the long run. The system destroys incentives to work and produce. Why work hard if the government is just going to take a large chunk of what you earn? Why innovate and take risks if your success will be punished? Legal plunder suffocates the economy. It leads to waste, corruption, and stagnation. In the end, there is less wealth for everyone, and the society becomes poorer and more divided. It's a race to the bottom, all started by perverting the law. You know, many people who support legal plunder aren't evil. They're not greedy thieves. They're actually what Bastiat called false philanthropists. These are folks who genuinely want to help others. They see poverty and inequality, and honestly, their hearts go out to those who are struggling. Their goal is to create a better, fairer world. They want to use the law to achieve noble goals like charity, education, and morality. But Bastiat warns that this is a terrible mistake. Using the law for these purposes, even with the best intentions, is a dangerous path. It's still a form of plunder. Take charity, for example. Being charitable is a virtue. Helping those in need is, well, a wonderful thing. But true charity has to be voluntary. It comes from your own heart and your own wallet. You choose to give. Legal or forced charity is really a contradiction in terms. When the government takes your money through taxes and gives it to someone else, that's not charity. You had no choice. The person receiving it feels no gratitude. The law has simply taken from one and given to another. It has violated property rights in the name of compassion, but in the process, it destroys the very essence of true charity. The same principle goes for education and morality. Of course, we want an educated and moral society, but should the law force it upon us? Bastiat said no. He believed that trying to impose a certain type of education or a specific moral code on everyone through government force is actually an act of tyranny. It treats people like they're mindless objects, not free individuals. And who decides what education is best? Who decides what morals are correct? Inevitably, it's going to be the politicians and bureaucrats in power. They'll use the law to shape society in their own image, destroying individual liberty in the process. This is really the central problem with using the law for so-called positive ends. It requires force. To provide these services, the government has to first take resources, plunder property, from its citizens. And it has to deny people the freedom to choose for themselves. It denies them the freedom to decide how to be charitable, what education to seek for their children, or what moral principles to live by. Bastiat argues that this just isn't the law's job. The law's role is negative, to stop injustice. When it tries to be positive, to organize humanity, it becomes an instrument of injustice itself, no matter how good the intentions. So, what should the role of government be? Bastiat's view is refreshingly simple. The government should be like a referee in a game. The referee's job isn't to play the game for the athletes. The referee doesn't tell the players how to run, what plays to call, or who should win. The referee's job is simply to enforce the rules. He makes sure no one cheats. He protects the players from foul play. He ensures that the game is played fairly, according to the rules that everyone agreed on beforehand. He's there to ensure justice, so that the best team can win on its own merits. This is exactly how Bastiat saw the proper role of law and government. The government shouldn't be the coach of society, trying to organize us and tell us how to live our lives. It shouldn't be trying to plan the economy, create jobs, or make us all equal. Its sole function is to be the referee. Its job is to enforce the one simple rule: don't violate the rights of others, don't harm their person, restrict their liberty, or take their property. As long as you're playing by that rule, the government should leave you alone. It should be an impartial umpire. This means the government should stop at protecting justice. It shouldn't be in the business of organizing labor, charity, education, or religion. These are things for people to do for themselves, voluntarily. When the government steps in and tries to organize these activities, it inevitably oversteps its bounds. It has to use force and coercion. It has to plunder some to give to others. It stops being a neutral referee and starts picking winners and losers. It becomes an active player in the game, and an unfair one at that, because it has a monopoly on force. By limiting government to this role, we really unleash human potential. When people know that their property is secure, and that the rules are fair and apply to everyone, they're free to create, to innovate, to trade, and to cooperate. Society organizes itself. Just think of all the complex things that happen without any government planning. Language develops. Markets form. People create. Businesses, charities, schools, and churches. This spontaneous order is far more effective and just than any top-down plan a politician could dream up. The government's only job is to provide a stable framework of justice and then get out of the way. After explaining the problem so clearly, Bastiat offers a solution. It's simple, but in today's world, it honestly sounds radical. His solution is this: restrict the law to its only rightful function. The law should do nothing more than protect the life, liberty, and property of every individual. It should be the collective organization of the individual right to lawful defense. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. The law should only be used to prevent injustice. It should never be used to impose a positive good on society, whether that's a certain kind of charity, education, or economic outcome. Just imagine what this would mean. If we followed Bastiat's advice, most of the laws on the books would have to be repealed. There would be no more tariffs to protect industries, no more government subsidies for favored businesses or farmers, no more price controls or minimum wages. There would be no more government programs designed to redistribute wealth from one group to another. The tax system would be simple and low, designed only to fund the essential functions of a limited government, the police, the courts, and a national defense to protect us from foreign aggression. This solution places immense faith in freedom. Bastiat believed that when individuals are free from coercion and plunder, they can achieve amazing things. When the law simply guarantees justice for all, it creates an environment where people can pursue their own goals peacefully. People would be free to work, to save, to invest, and to trade on any terms they voluntarily agree to. They would be free to associate with whomever they choose, to start businesses, to create schools, and to form charities. Society would be a vibrant, dynamic place, organized from the bottom up, not from the top down. This is not a call for chaos or for a world with no government. It's a call for a government that is strictly limited to its proper moral purpose. The law would be a powerful force, but only a force for justice. It would protect the weak from the strong. It would ensure that contracts are honored. It would punish criminals who violate the rights of others. But it would stop there. It would not try to be our parent, our teacher, or our provider. It would treat us as responsible adults, capable of running our own lives. The solution is to replace legal plunder and forced fraternity with justice and liberty. So, what is the ultimate payoff for following Bastiat's advice? What happens in a society where the law is limited to protecting life, liberty, and property? Bastiat was an optimist. He believed the result would be a world with more peace, more justice, and more prosperity than we can possibly imagine. When the law stops being a tool for plunder, the incentive to fight over control of the government really diminishes. Politics becomes less important and less divisive. People can focus their energy on productive activities instead of lobbying for special favors. This leads to social harmony. Justice would finally mean something. In a system of legal plunder, the law is contradictory and confusing. But in a free society, the law would be simple, clear, and universal. It would apply equally to everyone, from the poorest citizen to the most powerful politician. The law's purpose would be clear: to stop injustice. This clarity and consistency would restore respect for the law and for the concept of private property. People would know that what they earn is rightfully theirs, and this would create a more moral and just society for everyone. And what about prosperity? This is where freedom truly shines. When people are free to pursue their own interests, and when their property is secure, they work, they save, they invest, they innovate. The economy booms. Just think about it. Every voluntary exchange in a free market benefits both parties. When millions of these exchanges are happening every day, without government interference, wealth is created at an incredible rate. This rising tide of prosperity lifts all boats. The poor have more opportunities to improve their lives than in any system based on plunder, which only creates dependency and stifles growth. In the end, Bastiat's vision is a hopeful one. He believed in the power of the individual. He believed that freedom works. He saw that the path of legal plunder, while paved with good intentions, leads only to conflict, injustice, and poverty. The path of liberty, on the other hand, leads to peace, justice, and prosperity. His little book, The Law, is a timeless roadmap to that better world. It reminds us that the purpose of government is not to rule over us, but to protect our God-given rights so that we can be free. It's a simple lesson, but honestly, it's one we desperately need to relearn.